short my reflective journal simply because time constraints at this time of the year. 7th of May now, we're in week 6 of research methods. I'm also doing the problem-based learning as well on Tuesday afternoon, so I need a lot of time, commitment in terms of time. It's quite high at the moment. This week it was on collecting qualitative data. Rashi and Donnelly delivered the actual tutorial, or the lecture I should say, in the morning, and then we had an activity after the tea break. Basically speaking, we set out by discussing the different options we have in collecting qualitative data and looking at interviews. The different types of interviews you can pursue, such as telephone interview method. You can go perhaps online through Skype, you can email people, you can have direct interviews on a one-to-one basis, or you can get focus groups and have a conversation with a set of questions, structured set of questions, really to get the information that you need. This reminded me very much of, I carried out research a number of years ago. And I had 3 groups, 7 in each of the actual groups. There were 3 focus groups, and then I did a number of interviews on a one-to-one basis as well, with people collecting information on the actual research that I was carrying out. When you set out to carry out your research and you decide on your actual sample population or on the actual people you want to interview, or if it's a focus group or whatever, for qualitative data, individual one-to-one interviews or indeed focus groups are a good way to go. The first thing you actually have to do is basically interview who your sample population are going to be, what kind of numbers you want in it. Is it going to be one-to-one or is it going to be a focus group? After that then, based on your research question, you can really establish the type of questions you want to ask so that you get the answers specific to your research question. A good idea to actually identify the actual questions first of all, test them out on maybe some colleagues or something like that. If you've got to make any adjustments, go back, do it again, and then from there you can go and carry out your focus group interview or one-to-one interviews, whichever the case may be. To carry out an interview, our good characteristics of an interviewer would be, first of all, to have his questions in hand, ready to go at the introduction stage, making his actual participants or interviewee feel comfortable. On from there, ethical issues that may surround it, especially if you want to video record. If you have a focus group and you want to video record them, there might be issues around that. But any ethical issues that may, you have to determine first of all what ethical issues would be address them, and then getting the consent from your focus group or from your individuals, carry out the interviews then. Generally it's recommended on first name basis, have it nice and relaxed, nice environment, good location and whatnot. Having consent and letting them know exactly the purpose of your actual focus group meeting, of the actual interview, is essential. You got to let them know what it's all about, what the purpose of the research is about, if there could be any potential benefits in it for them. As Stephen even said later on today, he was going on about fairness when you're dealing with people in terms of research. This would also respect, fairness comes into it even at the interview stage. When you get their consent, carry out the interview, as I said previously. Some of the key things about a good interviewer, as I said, good questions set up, arranged, well prepared, being able to put the questions out there to people. Listening is very important. It's the person who listens learns all. And then if you're having difficulty trying to get the information out of them, knowing when to probe them, knowing when to actually maybe try and get more out of a question by asking for an example. Does it relate to them, or how could they actually give you more information in relation to the question? Real life examples are a very good way of getting that actual fact. The probing, the listening is very important, and then to go on from there, We actually carried out an activity today where there was myself. The activity consisted of carrying out a focus group interview. In my group, there was myself, and I was elected as the interviewer. Pat Walsh was actually he put his hand up and volunteered for the job as observer. Their task in a focus group type interview really is to take notes, where the interviewer will actually ask the questions, probe, listen, and then the observer absolutely has no input into the interview but records the interview. Something I missed earlier. Good interview sessions, you're going to have to look at the way you're going to record them. So whether you actually write down the answers, whether you record the answer through telephone, recorder, or tape recorder, video recorder, whatever the case may be. In our activity, Joanne, myself, Pat, Brian, Paul, and Jerry participated. We devised a question based on, does quantity undermine quality in higher education? Because the numbers going through is a compromising quality, and it was a very interesting exercise we did. Pat, as I say, took the questions down. They're actually in the text below this video. They should be. That's the way I wanted to arrange, at least. And it was a very good experience because we were able to sit back. Those who hadn't done it before, even myself as the interviewer who had done it before, it kind of brought back memories about things that I'd done in the past. And when you have to listen and say nothing and you're waiting for somebody to give you an answer, it just makes you realise that by listening you can, eventually they're going to come out with something. Then you got to focus on it with your probing questions and everything else. The activity, we just reflected on that, very, very brief discussion on it afterwards. And then we had Dr. Steve Meany, who came in from DIT. He is in the ethics area in DIT. He gave a very interesting talk, and I could identify initially with some of the stuff about the Nazis. I like to read history, especially Second World War history, and a number of the tragedies that took place in concentration camps during the war was a good basis to set for where standards should come from. Some of the tragedies that occurred, as I said, or atrocities, I think is more appropriate. But it goes on from there then, and he gave us some examples about different cases that took place, even the syphilis case in America, where there was a population selected for the syphilis, and it was allowed to go on even after penicillin was there open on the market, where they actually allowed the sample population, they allowed some of them to die because of this. But anyway, basically, to sum up what he said, I think respect for your subjects that you're actually carrying out the research on is absolutely imperative. Fairness, absolutely imperative also. And if there's going to be any benefit from the research, they should be benefactors of it. That was basically all that occurred, or most of it anyway. I won't go into it. There was finer detail with Roshan and everything else in terms of more about interview techniques and whatnot. But unfortunately, due to time and whatnot, I think I'll close there. Okay, thank you very much now.